BX here, and welcome to episode 84, Breaking the Mold. See you guys soon. Peace.
Yo, that shit gets me pumped every time that shit comes on.
Fucking guns, fucking crack some skulls. Starting the fucking podcast.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? We're here. It's Tuesday, and hopefully you guys have a good time tonight. So we have a few topics. Dom, you laugh, but are you ready to?
Are we going into it, or you want to just talk about like everybody's?
man,
how,
just hit us. It's good conversation.
So I was stumbling on some YouTube videos, and I came across this one in particular that was talked about of how George Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney, but since he did, he doesn't lose. There's attempting that they're saying he doesn't lose. Since he sold the license, he still gets some type of money or royalties due to characters that they use and stuff like that. And they used Star Trek as an example with Paramount and CBS. I guess they have CBS owns Star Trek, and they basically Paramount really wants to start utilizing Star Trek, or they were basically had Star Trek back in the day, but they lost it to CBS, and then CBS had no problem giving them to do Star Trek and stuff like that, and that's when J.J. Abrams started that revamp of Star Trek. And
what's the Star Trek you speak of?
Yes, you don't know, Brian. But like in that video, they used that as an example on how anything that they use from the old Star Trek, CBS would get some type of royalties or some type of money, and then if they used any new characters or any characters that they were using, Paramount would retain that money, and stuff like that. So basically, they're saying that a lot in this video that I was watching, they were saying that due to the fact that George Lucas still retained some royalties on some characters that he created during the original trilogy and the prequel, and anything in Legends and where anything was canon, he would get a percentage or some money for using that character. So they were saying that maybe Disney, due to the fact that he had to pay royalties for certain characters, may not use that characters that they would use them if they didn't have to pay those royalties, and the story might have changed, or other characters would have been in the forefront rather than the background, stuff like that. So it just sparked some interest to me in regards to how money sometimes impacts creativity in regards to creating a story. Who's listening to us? So basically, I was like, what are you guys' thoughts on that? Some of the examples that they used and that kind of made sense to me was how obviously they've been killing off all the older characters, Han Solo, Luke, and so forth. They also went into the example on how they altered certain characters like C-3PO in Force Awakens. They gave him a red arm, and there was no explanation why he had a red arm. But people feel like he had a red arm, or they gave him a red arm, so they didn't have to pay the full royalties to George Lucas because they altered the character just a tad.
They gave him a red arm so they could have a joke about it.
Exactly, but that was some of the examples they were using. That's why BB-8. That was why BB-8's character was created, because that George Lucas never created a BB-8 or the character BB-8. R2-D2 was put to the side, covered with a blanket, in Force Awakens, because obviously if they used R2-D2 as that droid for that movie, they would be paying more royalties to George Lucas. So those are some of the examples that they were using.
So let me ask you a question. When you say they didn't use R2-D2, but he was in the movie, but I guess because he was very limited, they didn't have to pay
as much.
More money, as much.
Mm-hmm. And he gets paid by the beep, I think.
So,
dude, I totally forgot to get my tinfoil hat out for this.
You should have.
I'm gonna start by saying
Boobs
Now, this is-
equals quick clickbait.
Yeah,
Dumb.
and this is listen.
And I'm going to say
You guys
George
are just a
Lucas,
bunch of fucking like. You don't
George
know
Lucas
what's-
gets a kickback no matter what, dude.
I'm
If,
sure he
if
does.
the words Star and Wars are connected to it, he gets a kickback. It's not. I don't think it's based on characters.
Well, we don't know. It's just a rumor. This is all rumor. Like, this is nothing true, no facts. This was just, a rumor that was put out there. And they, in this video, they state that it's a rumor. Like, don't take this to be true. This is something that, people have been, something surfaced, and, people are assuming that, this is, probably why some certain creativities were jeopardized in regards to telling the next, trilogy and stuff like that. So.
It's almost like a bit of a safety net.
And I was just interested in that aspect that, wow, that sometimes, money, dictates a lot of, things that we, affects creativity in sometimes a positive way and sometimes a negative way. So.
What were you saying, Gary?
No, I was just saying, I think it's, it's an interesting thought first, but it's like a safety net, I guess, where you create new characters, and if people love them, then that's great. You did that to expand the universe and the storyline and do things that are different. And if people don't really like them, then you kind of have almost an excuse as to why you couldn't use the ones people are, really connected to from the past. So it's an interesting thought, but I think I agree with JD. I think it's really just, money's being made no matter what. I don't think that would be the cause.
He gets a kickback no matter what.
Yeah, so I don't think you'd have to do it. But in terms of creating those new characters, I think it's kind of easy to say, well, we couldn't use characters A, B, and C because of the cost involved. So we created D, E, and F, even if you don't like them as much.
I think that's weird, though, considering how much money is being made regardless. Like, how greedy could they possibly be? I mean, if you think about the conspiracy of it, it's almost like the people who are dissatisfied with new Star Wars are looking for anything
Any
they
reason.
can to either justify why they don't like it or justify why it's being made so they don't like it. I don't really know. I think that's kind of funny.
Why do you think that is, though? Right? Why can't people just say, I don't really care for it? You know what I mean? And why is there a reason to justify it?
Because internet. That's
No,
why.
I know, but I'm just, I find that interesting because you don't have to justify it. You can just feel the way you feel, and that's perfectly okay.
Maybe it's a nostalgic thing. Like, when you would talk Star Wars in the past to your friends, I mean, everybody's on the same page for the most part, right? The only thing you had to decide against is if you're a Luke fan or a Han fan, right? And it's like, now it's kind of like with Transformers, you got all these different levels of different kinds of Star Wars, and people find themselves into different camps, I guess, and
True.
And one camp's got to be
But-
better than the rest. You know what I mean?
But do you guys with regards to what's going on with Sony and Marvel with Spider-Man? I can see corporations get stupid and say and basically pressure directors to alter stories or even alter what they're doing because the fact that they know in the background, it's all about the bottom line. It's all about how much they can get, how much they can make. And say, hey, no, we can't, we can't use R2D2 that much. Create somebody different. I can see something like that happening in the background. If this is true, I'm just saying, it just makes sense to me in regards to corporations putting weight on the directors or writers and say, what, no, this is not going to fly because I'm just punching up the numbers and we're going to be giving a lot of money to George.
Well, Dom, I mean, it sounds like a rational kind of thought about it. I mean, it's not out of the realm of something that could possibly occur. I mean, after all, we have toys with waffles in them for that very same reason, right? I mean,
yeah.
So,
and it's just human nature in regards to even in politicians and everything like that. I'm not going to get deep into governments and all the bureaucracies in regards to what happens in our government. But when you're running as a candidate, or if you got people pushing down on you because you have something to a platform that you're running on, and all of a sudden it impacts something that somebody's supporting you and says no, you might want to rethink that, or you're not going to get my check. and then all of a sudden your integrity and your loyalties tend to get questioned and on what you're doing because of the fact that you want to get that check.
And at what point do all those concessions start to soil the product that you're trying to make, right?
Correct. So I can see, like, you know, Disney. It's rational to me to the point where I can see corporations like Disney getting on like writers and not giving them the freedom to do what they want to do because they're looking at a numbers game. You know, they're looking at it.
But at the
money
same
in, money out.
time, I don't know the logistics behind like the Marvel and Marvel Studios, but like, wouldn't they be doing the same thing to, you know, Captain America and Iron Man and Captain Marvel and Spider-Man? Well, Spider-Man's Sony, but
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
wouldn't they be doing the same thing to those characters? I mean, of course they did. You know, they did spoilers. They did certain things to Cap and, you know, Tony Stark, but I don't know. Whoa, hey.
I see it differently. Like I see where you're both coming from, but like obviously they had to come up with these new characters because we already have those old characters. We have merchandise with all that.
Exactly.
With the old characters, the toys, you know, if they decided to, hey, you know what, let's create all new characters because we want to sell more merchandise and let's push these characters forward because obviously, you know, Luke Leia Han, you know, Carrie Fisher, rest in peace, she's gone, right? They weren't going to go much farther, you know, creating movies with these characters anymore. So they got to step it up with these new jacks. So it's kind of smart in a way to change everything or kill characters off because how long are you going to drag them on?
I agree. I agree with you, Dave. And this, you know, what really throws a wrench in this whole rumor is that if Disney did feel about, like, you know, not using older characters and paying those types of royalties to George, then they wouldn't be making an Obi-Wan in the TV series. They wouldn't be making, you know, some of these older characters and extending those stories and doing that stuff. They would keep, you know, they would do some new stuff, which I'm sure they will, because the old Republic and all that type, like the Mandalorian, you know, that's all new stuff that they're doing, and I'm sure Disney's going to get all the, you know, all the money from those
stuff though.
So
it's characters. Like that's in the video. The guy is like, it's character based. Like, you know, if the Mandalorian is not a character that George Lucas created, yeah, he created the Mandalorian.
If you look at all the look at all the movies in triplets, there are all different, like 3 movies per generation. So of course, with the sequels, we're gonna call them.
They are.
We get a new group, a new generation. Okay. Harrison Ford only came back. He said, "Hey, I'll do it only if you kill off my character right away." The whole Leia situation that, you know, unfortunately ended the way it did. You know what I mean? She passed before they were able to really finish her character off. Luke, I mean, you know, Mark Hamill, of course, he's gonna be there because, you know, he loves this stuff. He's there for it, and they did kill him off because they have to bring his character to an end. You know,
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you, JD. It's sad. I know this whole trilogy was once it rolled out, the people were saying this was a transition to basically, you know, saying goodbye to the old characters, closing out the Skywalker story, and introducing these new characters. And now, whether these new characters are going to extend into the next trilogy, who knows? But at the end of the day, it's, you know, I that's what they were pitching with this trilogy, and I completely understood that. It's just, I'm not saying, like, again, like, this is complete rumors, and I don't know where the line is drawn and where the, you know, the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted in regards to royalties that he gets, and what it is in regards to what they use from the past of what he created. Because you're right, JD, he created the whole fucking thing. Like, you know, he should begin some
he's
type
getting something no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. But like, you know, it was just interesting to me. If it's down to that detail, like if it's down to those characters or props and weapons, like I don't like, or ships. Like in this video, they were saying characters and ships. Like it's crazy, but
you mentioned that they changed the shape of the satellite dish because they wouldn't have to pay him full royalties if the satellite dish was rectangle.
Exactly.
I don't know. I think he just got hooked in, man, by some really good production quality on his video.
I'm not saying I got hooked in, guys. I'm just saying I watched this video and I was like, you know what, this to me, if it is true, I can see corporations doing this. Like I can see them watching the money and saying, you know what, I don't want to pay this motherfucker anymore. I want to do my own thing. I want to get the whole fucking kit and caboodle. And what ways can I do that?
Well,
if that's the truth, if that's the fact.
I just think it's funny. I mean, the title of that video, if I remember, is Disney destroying Star Wars because of George Lucas. I was oh, come on.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It's
Dom,
just a hater.
you had an interesting theory. I just scrolled up and saw it. I don't know if you remember what it is. I can repeat it to you if you want.
What's up? No, yeah, I don't like.
All right, you're good. You're like, all right, well, this is mine. He's like, what if they're not telling us whose Rey's parents are? Because if she's a Skywalker or a Kenobi, then they got to pay George more. And I just
like is it so detailed to the point? Like if anybody was a descendant of one of those characters, does he get paid for that character? Like it was just me brainstorming, going like, what the fuck? Where's the limit? Where's the line drawn? Like or is it just as simply, we'll cut you a check, George. We'll cut you a check, and this is the percentage that you get based on the leasing or the contract, and it's not broken down by character or prop or ship or whatever the case may be.
Man.
Well, this reminds me of when the Transformer movie came out. Not to cross lines or anything, but they killed off everybody, right? To introduce new characters for
new toys and new merchandise.
And also, half of the robots that came out weren't real vehicles. They didn't have to pay licensing for any of that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just decided to do their own fucking thing, and
maybe it's got legs.
But that's ultimately what kind of failed too, because
and it might not even be. And when I was listening, they said this also extends into merchandising, but like I think it might just be merchandising, and where if there's a merchandise out there of an Obi-Wan Kenobi or an R2D2, George gets the full, full profit from those characters or those products, and maybe they used in the movies. They're saying, you know what? Let's not put these characters in the forefront because we really don't want to sell those toys. We want to sell the Reys and the Kylo Rens and the BB-8s, and that's why they geared the story to put these individual characters. Which granted, that's what the story's there for. But like at the end of the day, like maybe it's just the merchandise and where he gets full profit of all older characters that are being used. I don't know. Like it just gets my mind just kind of digging into this deeper and saying where is it, because we all don't know what's in the contract, what's written to George in regards to what royalties he gets.
But I don't know. I don't think that matters if they could just continue to make a good product. But it's funny.
I agree with Brian.
I remember, Dom, when you brought this up, I had to look it up. So I googled Lucas Disney royalties. That's all I googled. Top 3 hits. Rumor: Disney killing off iconic Star Wars characters because ... Rumor: Disney Star Wars fails because George Lucas ... Disney corporate greed to blame for current state of Star Wars ? I'm like, oh my god, it's ridiculous. What's going on out there?
Now,
so I'm going to throw this in there. Josh is. Hold on, I got to back this up. Josh is correcting everybody. He gets royalties under the Writers Guild for original characters he created only. He received half of his deal in Disney stock, 37.1 million shares, which means any Disney movie makes money, he makes money. So his original $4 billion deal is now worth $6.3 billion.
He's a smart man. Yeah,
I'm sure
he must be reading the same article that I pulled up earlier.
And I'm sure that's kind of like that. To me, I guess that would make a little bit more sense in that he gets an overcompassing kind of payout and continuing royalties that are just based on a percentage of whatever movies come out and stuff, or whatever product gets sold, stuff like that. And which makes sense to me, because I can't see them diving down into the and cutting it by charactership and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, go ahead, Dave.
I was just gonna say I don't agree with the term Disney ruining Star Wars.
Yeah, me neither.
No. Yeah, well, that was all tabloid trash.
Yeah,
there.
because I mean, in my eyes, they revitalized it. Where was Star Wars? I mean, we had movies coming out, but did we have the abundance of stuff that we have today coming out? Like, we got shows coming out. We have more movies coming out. We have a fucking theme park now dedicated to Star Wars. I think that, Disney backing it kind of bumped it up. It's kind of like what we spoke about last week with Sony not taking Disney's deal or wanting to go 50-50 with them. Disney is going to make you more money, essentially, because they're going to put everything they have into what your thing is. You know what I'm saying? They're just going to give it their all. And the reality of it is, they're the biggest thing out there today.
So, Dave, I'll say Disney, it's a company that may make good business decisions, but do they make the best creative decisions for the product? I don't know if I agree with that. Meaning, yes, the brand is still at the forefront, but is it, are they trying too hard to appeal to everyone? It's like you can keep the brand going with a new product and then maybe give a nod to the heritage behind it, right? Or that slight homage like we talk about in the collecting world. But are they trying too hard to try and please everybody and then kind of missing what it could be potentially from a creative standpoint because they're taking more of a business idea and trying to capture the biggest audience?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you there, Gary. Where I can see it, like Disney is a company, and they're going to be hiring. Like they hit home runs in regards to hiring certain individuals, especially in regards to the Clone Wars and having them so. A big fan of Star Wars, and they hired this individual, and they're like, you know what, he took it and he took it under his arm, and he loved it to the point where he's staying with, he's checking all his boxes, making sure everything is, the storytelling is being told, the world is being there, and staying true to what Star Wars is. But I can see them making a wrong choice in hiring someone that doesn't have the love that you typically would have for Star Wars, and maybe we want to take it to another direction or another area and fuck it up somehow.
So here's a question for you guys. What was the last Star Wars piece of media that you truly, truly loved and enjoyed and was excited about?
Like I love Rebels and the Clone Wars. Well, you
got to pick one or the other, because one is older than the other.
Well,
so is it Rebels then? No, I mean, so what's the most recent? Is my point.
Rebels
that you truly really loved.
Rebels is the most recent.
My answer is Dave Filoni.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They hit home runs with Dave Filoni with regards to how he's taken this whole Star Wars and just basically has really stayed true to the story and to the characters and build off of that, and he did a really good job, and he's doing a great job. And
he did nothing but follow George Lucas around the entire time he was making the episode 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. So it's like, and I know, like I've watched interviews with George Lucas and regarding why he sold Disney and sold Star Wars to Disney. Like he felt it was like he was damned if he did or damned if he didn't, in regards to the fact that if he created another trilogy, whether people would like it or not like it. So it didn't really matter to him on whether he did it or somebody else did it. But at least he knows if he didn't do it, then he's not going to get all these guys that are now on fucking YouTube bashing Star Wars and like, oh, this sucks, because they did the same thing with the prequels. They did the same thing, but now certain aspects of the prequels are loved, and that's what we remember. Like you don't, like, you do remember the bad, but the love, the good sometimes overweighs the bad, and then you praise the fucking trilogy like it was the best thing ever. Granted, it's not, the original is the original. You can't even, I wouldn't touch, obviously, but I'm sure at the time when people were shocked in regards to seeing what they were seeing, I'm sure there were haters out there going, what's this garbage, at the time. So I'm saying, like, I'm sure after another 5-10 years goes by, we might be looking at this trilogy and saying, how great it was and everything like that. And picking on the good parts and rather than the bad parts.
It all depends on how they close it and tie in the last movie to this one, because a lot of people have more gripes about the last movie than they do about anything else.
Correct.
So if they do a good job with this next movie and it hits all our fucking boxes, like you said, then and ties in all the crap that went, some of the shit that went on that we didn't like in the second one, like you said, Dom, it'll probably be a good trilogy and everybody will forget the bad, especially with all the good that's seem to be coming.
Gary, to answer your question, I really like Force Awakens. I guess I'm just a sucker for Star Wars formula. What can I say?
Oh, that's fair. I can appreciate that. I just, for me, like I realized, I think my favorite, I don't know, genre or time period was the Clone Wars series. Like to me, that's more exciting than even like the first movies. And since then I haven't had that same level of interest. And when that was out, I liked the show. I love the toys. I love reading all the books that were still considered part of canon that interwove with those episodes. And I've seen all these movies and, I don't completely dislike them, but I don't love them either. And regardless what happens in this third movie, I don't know that's going to really change that because I don't have the interest in the characters the same way that the Clone Wars, I think, evoked, some of those ideas and concepts for me. So
what did you take away from the Clone Wars that you like the best?
I just found the variety of characters and the fact that it didn't focus on the same main people the whole time. Like they were there, but you learned a lot in the world. And I don't feel like that's happening. I feel like the movies are repetitive,
but that's what you get when you only have so many hours to tell the story, as opposed to a half-hour episode where you have a season of, 20 episodes and you can tell different. Different. I agree with you. I totally see where you're coming from, but they only have so many hours that they can tell this story.
Yeah, I mean, it's like comparing eating, grapes to eating an apple. Like I understand it's in the same field, but it's not the same exact concept. But I'm just
the same.
From a sheer,
they all taste the same.
I just think back to, from a sheer time frame that really got me excited about the property. I haven't felt that much excitement since then. And I think the thing that sparked it was, right, when is it, this year or 2020 when they do the extra episodes again, right, to pick up?
Yeah, February.
Right, yeah.
Clone Wars. They'll be finishing the Clone Wars.
That was more exciting to me than any of these previews or hearing the Emperor laugh or all that other stuff, or the one that just came out. Didn't do anything to me, really. I'm like, okay, it's a movie that's coming.
Nah, I'm the opposite, man. I'm excited, and it's not so much because I love the new trilogy, because it's not my favorite so far, but I'm just interested in seeing where they go with it. Like, that's what intrigues me. Like, how the fuck are they gonna wrap this up? How is this gonna end?
And the
not
funny
the way
thing,
you
Dave,
think, Dave. It's not
and the funny thing, Dave, is when I saw that trailer, like I'm wondering how much of what, like, if J.J. Abrams wrote the full story, which I know he didn't. Like, he didn't write the full trilogy, but I'm sure he had ideas of where he was going if he did the second movie. I was wondering if how many of those ideas are now going to get into the third movie or the third act, to where now, like, he, like, for example, that the evil Rey, like, Dark Rey. I can see if George, if
Swiss Army Rey.
Yeah, whatever. So, like, I can see if J.J. Abrams did that second movie, that would have been the second movie where it would mimic Empire Strikes Back and the trials that she would have in regards to to the light and the dark and everything like that.
Yeah,
but, like,
what do you think it is? I mean,
whether it's cloning and there's a clone of her out there that is on the dark side. I don't know. Like, it could be anything. But, like, that's what I'm saying, Dave. I'm very interested in seeing where this fucking goes and how they close some of these loops and stuff. So that's kind of like, where I'm at, and it could be anything. My thoughts wander, but, like, if it is just a trials and tribulations in regards to her going into the cave and seeing herself as a dark Sith, and her fighting that and overcoming that and seeing where she possibly can go, you know, in that direction. That I can see that because we've already seen that with Luke. So it's
Right.
like,
Then-
so it, and that's what people are saying, that that image is there. Don't you know? Oh no, she's not going to. That's not her going over to the dark side, because that. Why would they show that in a trailer? Blah 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 blah. You know.
Yeah, but
I
they're
understand.
showing it to throw us off too, so get us talking
Exactly.
about it. Everybody forgets is like, oh, why would they show that? They're ruining it. No, they're not. They got you fucking talking about it. That's why we're talking about it now, and fucking 3 million other fucking people are talking about it.
And isn't that trailer, wasn't like 3/4 of it just like clips from the original first
Yeah,
three
yeah.
movies anyway?
Yeah, first half of the
It's
trailer is
Keep
like
the old people invested in it.
Just saying, like,
I think it's like more of a, you know, just the creativity of like, this is a star, you know, this is a star, Skywalker story, and this is the
I wouldn't
story.
even
This is
call
where.
it. I wouldn't even go as far as calling it a trailer.
No. It's definitely
it's
a
more of a
teaser.
just-
It's a second teaser.
Yeah, like I wouldn't even. I don't even know if I'd call it that. I won't. Like
So-
I
Gotta
don't know.
call it something. What are you gonna call it, JD? You gonna
I
call it
don't know.
like a commercial?
What do they call it? Inside look?
Inside look?
Inside
Is that what?
I think that's what they call it.
Dun-dun-dun.
Oh,
But I don't know. Like I some of the scenes that you saw, the new scenes that you saw from the new movie, it's, you know, they're not showing you much, but like what they should show you kind of definitely makes you talk, like you said,
Yeah.
Dave.
I mean, I've listened to a lot of fan theories too, and one thing I've learned is that you can't really go by that sometimes, because even though the fandom sometimes has some great concepts, some great fucking ideas, they're not always right. You know, it sounds good, but it may not be what we're getting. So I'll give an example. When I was watching Game of Thrones, I was heavy into the you know, the theories for that, and there was so many good ones that could have been used, and people can say could have been used for the final season that would have toppled what they did, but none of it came to fruition. You know what I mean? None of it. So it was just like, all right, it was great entertainment at the time. It got me talking about it and doing what I just said. Can't wait to see the final product. And at the end of it, you're only going to get what those people produced. You're not going to get what you want all the time. That's and with any fandom. I think that's what people need to take
Now,
a step back and just
That's
say,
how
let
life
me
goes.
enjoy it. Yeah, let me enjoy it for what it is and move on. You
Now,
know what I mean? I can't
now
change it.
do you think, I have a question for Dave. When you hear those theories and those you know, like right now we're listening. I remember when it was Force Awakens, we were like, you know, Snoke is fucking is Darth Sidious. He's fucking, and there was all theories of everything. And it's like when you listen to those theories and stuff like that, and some of them that are really fucking good, and you're like, does that taint you a little bit in regards to the fact that what you get, what it actually is produced or what's out there, you're like, oh fuck, that sucks. I'd rather have that. Like, so
Yeah.
was it worth actually indulging yourself in listening to those theories and just not hearing those and just take for what they're giving you? Because at the end of the day, you might get another, you know, taste in your mouth of a theory that you think is great, and what's on the screen, it's like, oh fuck, that's not what it, you know, it's totally something different that I don't even think is great, and this theory was awesome, they should have done this. Like, I think sometimes we hurt ourselves by putting out all these theories and stuff, and some are really great, don't get me wrong. You're actually being like a writer and sitting down and saying, this is where I would take it, and some of it's great. But then I think with like common people are listening to those theories, like ourselves, listening to these theories and then getting a perception and say, oh, that'd be great if they did that, and all of a sudden seeing what's on the film, on the movie, and you're like, oh, that fucking sucked. Like, you know, but if you didn't hear that theory, would you say that, you know, see what you're on screen, would you say would it suck? Or
I
you know,
wouldn't know because I'm part of this fandom, and unfortunately, it eats, breathes, and shit everything that Star Wars does all the time. But I'll give you an example. My boss, he's been watching Star Wars since he's a kid. You know, he won't tell people that, but he tells me. You know, he's like a big sports dude, but he secretly loves Star Wars, and he goes to see every flick that comes out. So I remember telling him some of this theory stuff, and he's like, I don't even care about that. I just want to watch it to watch it. And he loves every movie that comes out, regardless of the story.
Saying, yeah.
Because it's new to him, and he's not engulfed in it all day long, every week, the same way we are. You know what I'm saying?
You know, the interesting thing to me about Star Wars, outside of this sequel trilogy, right? Yeah, the Rogue One, the even the prequels, right? It was always interesting, even the Clone Wars, like all that stuff. It was always interesting because we always knew what the ultimate end game was. So all we had to do was sit back and be like, all right, how do you get to the end game, right? And it's kind of interesting. They throw us for a loop. I mean, they give us a huge coliseum with every Jedi that ever existed in there. They they got clones. Somehow some Boba Fett looking dude shows up. All kinds of crazy shit. And it's fine and it's wonderful because you always know where you're going to end up, right? You just kind of along for the ride. And it's just with this one, like we're experiencing Star Wars the way like our parents experienced Star Wars, right? It's like where they have to like, gee, I wonder where it goes next. And do they really care? I don't know. It's I kind of not like I'm getting tongue tied here. I kind of not like
You like not knowing?
I I liked knowing the fact that I don't know where it's going. It's like, it has. I think I have a little kind of intrinsic fear because I'm like, what if I don't like where it ends? Kind of thing. I got so much invested.
Well, you
Maybe
got
that's
also,
what kind of brings people like to this kind of vitriol and all that other stuff.
and you got to also remember that George Lucas wrote this story, and he basically plucked the first three movies, or the first movie where he started was where he felt it was a good story. Like, he felt like this is the movie I'm doing. This out of this whole fucking story, I'm going to focus on these chapters because this is where the chapters are good. Like this is what would intrigue me in storytelling and getting a good story out there to people. So when they see all this fucking shit never seen before, and then also on top of that, putting a good story together and having plot twists and turns and new characters and what the fuck, what's next type of thing. I think he had the advantage there where he wrote the full story and said, hey, this is where I'm going to focus on. But like, I don't think they're doing that now. I don't think they're like with this trilogy. They didn't write the whole fucking thing and saying here, at once, like at the beginning, and say this is the story. This is where we're going to do, and this and tie all the loose ends and shit, and make sure that everything's tight before they fucking put it out. They just kind of rolled with it, and it kind of you can see some of the fault, the failures in regards to just rolling with the story and trying to use multiple directors. I think using multiple directors is fine, but if the story, if it was the full story was written, I think you could basically, utilize those directors in their creativity and their acting style and their directing styles with actors and stuff like that. But to me, I feel like they fell short without writing the full story all the way out. And
You're probably right.
When is when's the Force Friday when like new products supposed to hit the stores?
This Friday, right?
September something.
Isn't it the first week of October?
I thought it was October.
Oh, was this October?
Friday
I thought it was
before
September.
Triple
I think
Force
it's the first
Friday.
Friday. Yeah.
Is it October 3rd or something like that?
Might be 4th.
Okay.
4th. Yeah, the 4th is Friday. The first
Gotcha.
Friday.
So
It's always interesting to see, what new toys and collectible products can do to, kind of
I
get
already know
people
it's coming.
excited or not.
double bladed sword.
No.
It turns into a.
Oh,
what's up?
actually, you know what? That might be what's coming.
Do you
I'm
think
sure
they'll
that-
give Rose the same outfit so they can just resell her figure again?
I don't think Rose is in this.
I don't
thing.
think she's in it.
They dumped her. She's out of the fucking show.
She's out. They gave him.
I think they're trying to hook up Finn with Lando's daughter.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get a Felicity action figure. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's October 4th. Sorry.
All right, so let's jump off this a little bit and let's jump into the whole like
The review.
poster images and stuff that we got, like
D3,
the D23.
D23.
So what do you guys think? Like, what do you think's gonna happen, or what do you want to happen?
So Obi-Wan, right? You want to do Obi-Wan?
Let's do Obi-Wan first.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do
Mhm.
Obi-Wan.
Sure.
All right. So I was looking at the timeline. They posted a timeline of all of the
Yeah, they
stuff.
did. Yep.
And Obi-Wan occurred. Oh, son of a bitch! I forget now. Does anybody remember? I think Solo Because
It was
Solo
right-
happened in like 5 years or something like that,
It's-
right? Or 3 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it
during
happened.
it's during Solo. It's during
Right.
Solo and
Solo
Rebels,
and Rebels. Yeah.
like between Solo and Rebels.
But I think if I remember correctly, it took place. Here it is. I found it. Look at that. It takes place a year after basically the Han Solo gets off of Corellia.
Correct.
And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years before Rebels starts. Believe it or not, is when the Obi-Wan movie takes
Oh.
place. Yep. So he's not. I guess he's not going to be super old, right?
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 13 years before A New Hope is when it takes place. So, I mean, I'm excited. Basically, right, we're going to see him, he's going to have a routine maybe of checking up on Luke. They might show him learning how to commune with Qui-Gon and stuff.
With
I think that
Qui-Gon,
would
yep,
be
yep.
really, really cool. And maybe just like some adventures, like just like that Mythos figure, like backpacking around. And this takes place before Rebels, so we're not going to see him like fight Maul or nothing like that.
Now, Brian,
Yeah.
do you think he's going to leave the planet to go on some of these adventures?
Right, because he has to go have a daughter that will end up being Rey's mom. So we're probably going to see that. That's
So-
for sure.
So if he does that, how does he watch over?
That's the question. I think correct
That's
me
a good
if
point, Dave.
Yeah, I don't think he leaves the planet because of Luke, right?
I don't.
Well,
believe
that's
he
the
does.
question. Is he going to be leaving the planet? And if he's not leaving the planet, then who's coming to him?
Who's babysitting?
And then basically, like, with Darth Maul and Han, we all know at the end of Han, Darth Maul shows up and he's part of that, underground fucking syndicate that basically, is he going to get involved in stopping that? And basically, because remember in Rebels, when we get introduced to Darth Maul, he's not part of that shit. He's like
No.
he's like a
Not
rogue.
anymore.
No, when we get into Rebels, he's not part of that syndicate or anything like that. He's just like a loner out in no fucking and trying to find Obi-Wan by himself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it takes place
he's like-
well after Solo. You're right.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
something happens where he loses all that, and he pretty much hits rock bottom, and he obviously feels Ezra to the point where there's a he notices there's somebody in the Force, and he tries to, and then he that's where they pick up. And he's using Ezra they're literally he wants to find Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Dude, what if we get like where he's watching like news reports of like Vader and stuff like that? Like that would be wild stuff.
And
man.
the funny thing too is when he meets, like in Rebels, right, JD? When he finally meets Obi-Wan, he knows, like, because they give a hint of the two suns, like the two sun planet, and then he goes and meets him, and then when he's dying, he asks Obi-Wan Kenobi, is he the one?
Luke is Luke the
Yeah,
one?
Luke.
Yeah,
And he says
Yeah.
yes.
and Obi-Wan says yes.
And
So I'm sure, like, I'm thinking that he's going to be leaving the planet to go on some of these adventures that senators are going to be asking for his help, and he's going to go and maybe, I don't know whether he's going to encounter Darth Maul or some of his underground, fucking bodyguards or fucking bullies and shit. And
I don't know, Dom. I think there's gonna be
Isn't-
more on the planet by
you
itself.
think?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. I don't know. Like, it's gonna be interesting how they make the story or keep the story interesting if he's on one planet and what's going on in that planet.
Well,
Because
it's only 8 episodes or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I
And
would
it's
have
just a
loved.
mini series, right? It's not a continuing thing.
I would have loved to see, if it was closer to Rebels, I would have loved to see, that the relationship of,
Sure.
well, you can't even really call it a relationship, but like, Maul's revenge story. You know what I mean? I would have loved to see that on two opposite ends of the galaxy, and then and then it eventually heads up in Rebels. But if it's
Well-
that far before even Rebels, then that's
What
gonna be
if it's
out
a
of it.
story like where the Emperor gets a sniff of like Luke's existence, right? And Obi-Wan finds out and he has to play this cat and mouse game with whomever the Emperor sends to Tatooine to kind of throw off the scent and kill it or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that'd be kind of interesting.
I mean,
or
to
you see
go
Jabba.
back, like to you had said about Obi-Wan's got to meet Rey's mom. You know what I mean?
Right.
Bo-Katan could always come looking for him.
Yeah. Well, it kind of
Right.
makes sense. I mean, Obi-Wan he meets somebody and actually has a daughter that becomes Rey's mom, and then Han Solo goes to Tatooine a lot because he has to hook up with Rey's mom in order to have Rey. So I mean,
I think you guys are missing it. I think
no,
what's
you
going
don't
to
think that's
happen.
gonna work?
I think what's going to happen is that we all know who's in Tatooine.
It's
The Huts. The
Star
Huts
Wars,
are
not
the
Star
gangsters.
orgies.
The Huts are the gangsters of Tatooine. So I feel it might be Darth Maul's little syndicate tries to take over the Huts, and Obi-Wan helps the Huts defend them off. And Obi is basically saying, I don't want Darth Maul's got people to come here and overrule, because then he can catch wind of Luke and sense Luke, and that's not good for him.
That would be
That might.
Well, didn't Obi-Wan help save the baby Jabba in the Clone Wars?
No, that was
Or
Anakin.
Anakin?
That was Anakin. Yeah,
Sky
so-
Guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can
Hey.
see maybe that gangster or the two gangster families fighting, and then Obi-Wan's in the middle trying to help the Huts, because at the end of the day it'd be better for the Huts to stay in Tatooine, control Tatooine, and not this syndicate, not Darth Maul's little syndicate.
What if we see a Rancor fight a crate dragon? That would be so
Yeah,
wild.
that would be pretty wild.
Dude, that would be wild. Dude, we could get a Rancor out of this. We could get a Rancor.
You probably.
So, Brian, what was the timeline?
Fuck,
This
your
is how
Rancor is
many
awesome.
years before?
So which
next
one do you
one?
want to move on to next?
Oh, hold on. Dave had a
Mandalorian?
question.
Oh,
Dave,
sorry.
Dave,
Yeah,
what was
I
your
asked the question, Dom. You're not. It's not the Dom show.
Yeah, it's
Right.
not the Dom show.
So, all right,
Yeah.
Dave, I'll tell you this. It takes place.
I can't hear him. I gotta
One-
bounce out.
Shut up, Dom. I'm counting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It takes place 7 years after episode 3.
7 years after episode 3. So then
Yeah.
he would still be fairly young,
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
And
So
what I say, 13 years before A New Hope, something like that.
right. So that's where my question is, right? So the series is only 8 episodes. Is it only during one time period?
Yeah, it's only got one. It only covers one tick mark on this timeline.
So like 1 year.
Whereas Solo takes like 3 tick marks up.
Oh yeah, I have that timeline too.
Yeah.
I just remembered.
I'm sorry, Dave. Did you say? Yeah, it's only in there. So basically, this miniseries is a contained event, not spanning across a major time frame. It seems.
Right. Because I'm just wondering if it's just going to be one big story. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
like as opposed to like what he did for the remainder of the whatever 20 odd years or whatever it was he was there. You know?
It could be, or they could do it like they do some of this, like some TV series on a shorter level, where if there's 8 episodes, 4 of them are one continuous story, and the other 4 are isolated, smaller little
Oh,
tidbits.
like Daredevil style.
Mhm.
Like it.
Yeah,
I sent
kinda
that
like
to the. I sent it to the chat, so you have it, Dave.
Yeah, that's cool.
See.
Yeah.
All
And
right. What's next?
All right. So what's
What do you got?
next? The Mandalorian.
I like to talk about
The Mandalorian takes place.
after
After Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. It's like 5 years after, I think.
5
they
years
said.
after. Yep.
Yeah. So they said 5 years after the Return of the Jedi, and like it ends not even close to where fucking Force Awakens is. Like,
Oh,
you
yeah,
got
Way
you got
off.
like fucking 50 years after.
Yeah. Yeah, it's way off.
So what you guys
I-
think of the trailer?
I love it. I
It's
fucking
kick-ass.
love it.
Is it sad that I'm more excited for that than Episode 9?
No,
Nah,
I
not
don't think
at all.
so.
I'm sorry. I'm just
Katie.
I'm a big John Favreau and Dave Filoni fan, and the
Yeah,
two of them
Filoni, yeah.
together. Oh, holy nerd boner.
Where's your love for Favreau come? Just curious.
I've
Fingers.
like anything
Friends.
that he's really made. I've always watched. I wasn't a big fan of Friends.
I'm just
No.
kidding. He was
I'll be there for you.
And I mean, you know, if you watch like some of he has like some food show.
Was that the chef show?
Yes, the chef. If you watch that and like you really get a sense of who he is, it's like, well,
With the
Well,
one
I
where he's
mean,
making Cuban sandwiches in the food truck, that one?
yeah.
With Don Leguizamo?
I mean,
Is that
they've
a
had
sense
all
of food?
kinds of different people on. So
It's funny.
So
but JD,
late-
I just want to let me just mention something. I have a friend who moved to Hollywood to actually she was his nanny, the kid's nanny for a while.
oh, no doubt.
Yeah, and she said the same thing you did, that he's the nicest, most genuine person in the world.
Yeah, that's like
And if that's
you
what
know,
you're going at.
even just like seeing him, you know, like behind the scenes on like movie sets and all that stuff, he just seems like one of the coolest people to you know that you could be friends with. A really, really down to earth person.
I mean, I'm not that familiar with him, but I am a fan of the work that I know he's done. When I learn that he's done it, I'm like, oh. Good stuff.
But the two of them working on Star Wars together, yeah, dude, I'm
Yeah.
so ready to do this. I'm
This,
so ready to see it.
And that story is kind of from when I've seen it's kind of he's like basically
What?
it's hashed out, like, you know, he's basically, it's a bounty. The bounty is a girl. And
What?
I have no idea what you're talking. You like completely.
You're roboting, bro.
am I roboted?
Yeah.
You hear me now or no?
No, you're frozen.
Okay, hold on.
But
Let me
what-
see if
What girl?
Anyway,
You know,
What do you know about this? What do you guys know about the Mandalorian?
I know the actor is the dude from Game of Thrones that had
yeah,
his face crushed
Pedro
in.
Pascal.
Dude, that guy's awesome.
Mhm.
Yep.
I wonder if we'll ever see his face. Maybe not, right?
Yeah, you definitely probably will.
Hmm.
He can't have the mask on the whole show. You can't feel anything for somebody behind a mask. You know what I mean?
Both
Yeah.
fan favorite, maybe. I don't know.
So
For all of 4 seconds of screen time.
You know, Dave, I don't know that much about the story and what's going on, but I have to say I really like what I've seen just from the action, the characters, the nostalgia. I'm happy to get a shit ton of old school stormtroopers back in my life again. You know, seeing what they're up to, doing empire-y things. I love their uniform.
I'll agree with that. Yep.
Yeah, they're just awesome. I love how their helmets molded so they have bags under their eyes. I don't know what that's all about, but I think it's cool.
Can you hear me now, or am I
Yeah.
still
You're
broke?
Go, Dave.
Good.
Go, Dom. Go.
No. I just some of it's like from what I heard, like a lot of the story, not like detailed parts, but like the generic, you know, basically it's a bounty hunter. He gets a bounty. The bounty's a girl, a little girl, and at the end of the day, he basically starts, instead of bringing the bounty in, he protects her, and the person who he was working for basically sends the wrath of hell, like, after him to basically kill him. So that's kind of like the
Isn't that
timeline?
the theme from that Natalie Portman movie
oh yeah
back in the day? That sounds like the same exact plot.
The professional.
The professional, yeah.
Dude, she was fucking badass in that movie.
That was a great
She was
movie.
just a little kid.
Yeah.
So you know the one thing I do that's interesting is obviously it's 5 years after Return of the Jedi, right? And we still see that there's remnants of the Empire.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So the Empire's not totally gone just because the Death Star blew up and because the Emperor supposedly died.
Right.
Right.
And that's the thing I've been saying for a long time, Brian. You're right about that. It doesn't just magically, it's not like flipping a switch, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure some officer, you know, generals took over their little clique and started going the way they fending from themselves.
No, it's
you know?
absolutely true. The Moffs are competing with the generals and the people that control ships. So some of the most recent canon that was written, after Disney, so it's included, talks just about that, about everything that's happening, throughout the galaxy still, where the Empire had a foot. It didn't just stop just because of that planet,
So basically, like, there's these these garrisons of troops, right? And they
You got
have
it.
they have a
Yep.
leader, and they're like, all right, well, we claim that town, and that's where we're gonna be, and fuck everybody that comes in there. We're gonna run things the way we want to run things. The interesting thing is, I remember them mentioning in the trailer, and JD, we watched something on YouTube. It was like almost like half a show at one point. They were talking about how the bounties are basically dried up.
So the bounty pool is slim to none, and the bounties that you are getting doesn't exactly pay for fuel and food.
Right, because the Empire's not around to pay them, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's that, and the Republic is trying to put together a real government if it's within those 5 years. So it's not like they have all those evolutions that come from the same way. So
Yeah.
it's
That's what I'm waiting. Like, I'm waiting for all that underworld fucking bullshit.
You got to think about it. Just because you blew up one battle station, if I'm the admiral of a Star Destroyer,
you are admirable.
Fuck you. You know what I mean? You're not gonna I'm not gonna surrender to you just because you say you're the new government. I'm gonna partner up with Dave, who's got his own Star Destroyer, and then we're gonna go around and collect other people.
Shit up, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like,
dude, and that means too, like, if the Empire, if those garrisons are cut off, right, they don't have supplies coming in, so they're basically going to be scrounging for weapons and stuff like. Dude, it's the old Wild West. It's gonna be like Tombstone.
Hence, stormtrooper helmets on pikes.
Yep, it's gonna be Deadwood.
That IG-88 character, I don't think it's him because he's dead, right?
It's IG-11 is what his name is.
IG-11. All right. That he don't look like he's missing any weapons, because that dude in that few seconds was murking some shit up in that preview.
But that's what's great. Like, I would just, granted, we got a taste of them and what they can do in Clone Wars and Rebels too. But just to see it in just the real world and seeing that IG-88 character going off, and it's that, to me, when I saw that in the trailer, I was like, oh fuck, that's awesome.
Because we never really seen him in action. Like, I've seen him in action in a video game once, but I never really, get to see him in real live action. It's pretty cool.
Me either. The one sideshow IG-88 I have falls over from time to time. That's the only action I get from him.
I think correct me. I think JD, was there was a IG-88 characters are in Rebels. Like they are. They don't.
Droids. The droids are.
It's a series of droids. They were in Rebels. They were in
the Clone Wars.
Yeah. But like, I don't see like seeing it in real action type thing. Like, I can't wait to see it. Like, I want to see like a boss kind of character and seeing how he fucks shit up. It's stuff like that. Like, that's just gonna be cool as shit.
I don't know if I missed this, but what did you guys say it takes place on? What does it take place? It's not Tatooine, right?
Or in the Outer Rim somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. It looks there's a few different planets that we're gonna see. There's like foresty stuff and desert, and
my thing is, like, I want to hear where he gets the armor, and I want to hear the reference to Boba. You know what I mean? Like, who do you think you are, Boba Fett? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, here's the thing. I mean, from episode 2, when they introduced Jango Fett, I mean, they said he's not really a Mandalorian.
Right.
So
where's the armor?
And the Mandalorian tradition is that, they have to make their own armor, whether it's from other Mandalorian armor or they have to find the metal
and that metal is very rare. Like, it's very rare and very, very expensive. So and then there is a theory that's what he's getting paid. He's not getting paid money. He's getting paid for that metal because he wants to improve his armor.
Yeah.
Sounds like a video game, not so much a series, right?
Hey, I'll fucking pay the video game. But,
I'm so ready for it though.
JD, I remember we were watching one of the videos too, and we found it interesting, like the old Boba Fett cartoon.
His rifle.
His gun. Yeah,
his rifle is based on the
Yeah,
rifle that Boba Fett had in the droid series.
and see, and that's what's great about having people like you said, people like Favreau and Filoni, especially, right, who are enveloped in this fiction, right? They live it, they breathe it, whatever
Mhm.
else.
And they can
do
make
to it.
those small little ties to everything.
Yeah.
Like they can just tease that and put that and just
Yeah.
spread it all over their universe that they're creating and then extend from that.
See, I appreciate that. I think like a small nod or a tie-in that's subtle and clever, it goes a lot further than when they try and smack you in the face with it and make it so obnoxious that you can't miss it,
Right.
and try too hard for it.
Mhm.
They did like even Rogue One did it very well too. I thought with regards to little teases and stuff that they put in through that movie, and they did a good job with that.
Oh, what was the other thing too? The comedian Bill Burr is in it.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and it's like,
so
go ahead.
the funny thing is like, we're sitting here and we're watching like the previews and like behind the scenes stuff for that. And like the people that are in it, Chan's been watching that the chef show, and he's been having all those people on that show because all of his friends just happen to be famous people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
so
like those are the people he has on the show because they're also working on this movie, the series together.
Yeah.
So but Bill Burr is like one of his crewmen.
And it was funny. We saw a video where Bill Burr's like, "Fuck Star Wars. I don't even fucking care about this." And now here he is starring in it.
Uh-huh. Hey,
That's
you don't gotta be a fan to, perform.
That's right.
I mean, I don't think Harrison Ford was a fan.
No, he was a stand-in, right? Remember, he was just reading for parts from actors that they were trying to get. He was just on the other side reading the lines because he was he was within that doing the Indiana Jones stuff, and then all of a sudden they called him in to read some lines and test other actors out that they were trying to get for Star Wars.
Mhm.
So
Like-
I was just gonna say he has all his buddies in the movie. You think he's gonna have Vince Vaughn in the movie as like a fucking a fucking Wookiee or something? I don't know. Like,
I mean, it wouldn't surprise. Like, I am actually surprised that Vince Vaughn hasn't been in, like Iron Man and the Jungle Book. I mean, he might have been. I don't know, but it surprises me that he wasn't in any of those.
You guys want to talk about the episode? This is episode 9.
Yeah.
Coming out. So, what's your theories? What's your theories? What's your theories on where it's going to go, Mr. JD? Or what you like to see, or whatever the case may be.
I don't really know. So like all this stuff where she's got this blue saber, I'm thinking that's like the first half an hour of the movie. And this is how she is the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
you
You
think
think she takes that? She converts over?
So like I'm kind of conflicted. It can go either way. It's either the whole double-bladed red lightsaber thing it's either the remember your failure in the cave, Luke situation where
Right.
Thanks, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel it could be just a vision and they want us to think.
It's just a vision.
No, that they want us to think that, Rey's going bad. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I can see it. Okay, so the rise of Skywalker, unless they come out and say she's a Skywalker, Ben is the only one left.
Yes. So
So
do you think
this is his story. This is not Rey's story.
Yeah.
He just happens to be, huh?
She has no place in this story. Remember?
Yeah,
She's nothing.
Yeah, she's nobody.
she's nobody.
That,
Well,
that could
I
be all
could-
true.
But like the funny thing is, I can see the clone thing making sense of that. She's been cloned because when she does go into that cavern and
Mhm.
looks at herself through the mirror, she sees multiple of her.
Right.
And when Kylo said like she's nothing, she's no one, she could have just been a clone and
Do you guys ever play the
someone.
game The
Sorry,
Force
go ahead.
Unleashed?
Yes,
Yep,
Right.
yep.
They could just be doing a play on that
it
and
could.
kind of tying that in, except it's a female this time around.
Mm-hmm.
They did him how many times? Like until even at the end of one game, I think he killed himself or some shit like that, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be a play on, people are saying she's a clone of a mix of them all. And the Rise of Skywalker could mean that, they're saying now Palpatine is basically fucking Vader's father or creator or whatever. And that would make him Luke's grandfather. And if they somehow fucking molded the three of them together to create the perfect Jedi or whatever, perfect Force user, I should say, because not all of them are Jedi, and that's why maybe it explains how good she is with the Force already.
Right.
Like she just picked up shit like naturally.
Mhm.
It's I mean, that's one way to put it. It also could be like they dumped her on the planet because there were multiple clones of her, and that was
Or-
that one good clone that
Yeah,
they wanted
right.
to take.
Or maybe the Force didn't take properly.
Mhm.
I was watching The Last Jedi today, the parts I can stand, and
Love how he puts
I
in
was
quotes.
wondering, Snoke looks like a failed experiment himself. What if he was like the Emperor trying to clone himself or something like that? Because he says a couple things, like he calls her young fool, and I was
Yep.
like, oh, I was like, just a few choice words on how he said some of his phrases. I was like,
Mhm.
I remember
Very
a guy
well
who used to
could
say
be.
those things.
So I'm gonna go back here because I
Go ahead, Jay.
thought
Go.
I had a couple thoughts here.
Do it.
So what if so they're going back and they're on Endor or wherever, they're at the crash site of the the
second Death Star.
They come across the Emperor, or somehow Ben becomes more adept because he still has Vader's helmet. He's like keeping it preserved or whatever. He becomes more adept to that side and what Vader had experienced somehow, and it's not so much scares him, but like he sees what happens and that they're gonna fail, and that switches him. The rise of Skywalker, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Well, it could be
They
that double agent theory too, like you're saying, right?
Yeah. Rey, like she's, I don't know, the end of The Last Jedi, she's kind of frustrated. And from what we've seen in, her training in the forest or whatever, she looks mad. She looks upset about something. So, it could definitely turn her the other way. It could completely flip the tables.
Well, she also had a chance because Kylo did ask her to join him and she didn't.
Mhm.
So,
And she didn't.
but like I agree with you with one thing, JD. This is definitely a Kylo story. This is I think Rey is a part of, like a secondary character of this story, but Kylo, I think what's going to happen is Kylo said it in the beginning. He's trying to finish Darth Vader's mission, and I think his mission, like we all know that eventually Darth Vader wanted to surpass Darth Sidious and be and kill him and basically get rid of him. And the thing is that I think they're going to find out, like Kylo's going to find out that he's somewhere, like he is still existing some way, some being of him is still existing, and they find his fucking fleet. They find his everything all set up for him to fucking come in and
I mean, that little
start
scene,
some shit.
that little scene with Ray training in the forest, that could be her being taught by the Emperor.
Exactly. And like I
Fucking
think
dude,
maybe
boomerang lightsaber. That's
Yeah.
nuts.
but like I think if this is a total twist where she's the one, she realizes that she is a clone, she was a part of this whole big fucking scheme or development to keep Sidious alive, and at the end of the day, so Kylo is the one that comes in and saves
yeah.
the whole thing.
Saves the day.
You know, one. Go ahead, Jeff.
Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen.
Dude. I love that scene. Love that scene. Rise, my friend.
I mean, what if he just fucking blurts out execute order 69 and all of a sudden fucking Ray fucking goes nuts, and that's why C3PO goes nuts and everybody's just all of a
Well, I
sudden
think
Did you say Order 69?
sure did.
Massive orgy. Oh, shield your kid's eyes. Hey, so I was watching the movie tonight,
Who's listening?
and Yoda said to Luke, he's like, we can't lose Rey. Like, she's very, very important. And so I think that she's not turning to the bad side.
Well, it could be also. I mean, how long did they kind of like carry Anakin along? You know, they kind of used him as a fucking pawn too to see where it was gonna go. They knew that they shouldn't have trained him.
You're right. Those
You know what I'm saying?
Jedi, they're bad ways. They keep up the bad ways.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
Yoda's
listening to
the-
the show
Yoda's the villain.
or something on.
Yeah, somebody's got something going on.
Somebody's
in the
got something
background.
going on in the background. Oh, you shit.
Dom's
But,
watching TV.
No.
Your wife is.
My wife is probably talking. I'll
Get
tell her to shut
upstairs.
up.
bitch go upstairs. So,
Dom loses his balls. What's left of them?
Oh,
so
Wow, JD. Wow.
all right. So we have the theory that she's a clone. Then they also have the theory that's been used in the Star Wars fiction, and where the Emperor jumps bodies basically, and he could possibly just jump into her body.
That's why C-3PO got red eyes.
maybe she just gives in. Like, she didn't have a very good life, right? You know, she was scrounging, so maybe she just. What does she owe anyone about being good to any of this stuff? Maybe she just gives in to the enticement.
But that's the thing. Like I would felt like she would, if she had those feelings, she would have gave in to Kylo when he asked her to join her.
Dude,
Like,
what if we see some yellow eyes in this movie? That's gonna be some shit.
Mm-hmm.
See that?
But
I
like,
hope
I don't know. It's just so very interesting to see where they take this fucking
Man,
shit.
you guys have put a lot of thought into this. It's
Hey,
interesting.
I got a question. Well, Gary, when you spend a weekend at a house like JD's, man, and you meet new people who cosplay for Star Wars as a living and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
it all goes crazy. But what about the side mission for the side characters? We've seen clips of like some kind of pirate C-3PO with Poe and Finn. They're like on some kind of ship, and there's wind and sand, and then they go see this place where there's a balloon launch. Like,
I think,
are they searching for something? What are they searching for, Dom? Tell me what they're
they're
searching
searching
for.
for that fleet. They're searching for that big fleet. They're looking for that fleet. They
What
know that it exists. The fleet of destroyers, which is Darth Sidious fleet. That's his fleet that he was
What?
hiding. Yeah.
You sure they're not looking for recruits?
No,
I was
dude.
gonna say they're looking
So,
for more.
They're the
of
spark,
join the
Dom. The spark that will light the
No,
fire,
no,
burn
They're-
down the
they're-
first order.
they're-
Why,
they get-
why
they-
would they look for the fleet when they don't have anything to fight with it? They don't
I'm
have
sure-
any to fight
I'm
against it.
Well,
They-
they did show a
Why-
still of their battleships too, and how they
Yeah.
mastered that jumping ability through light speed that they were doing. That
Why would
that
you
Tom was
trust
working on.
anything to Finn? He didn't do anything in the last movie.
Well, you
What-
got
what-
Poe too. You got Poe and all them. I think their side mission is going to be they're going to get catch wind that Sidious is still alive, or somewhat alive, or whatever the fuck he's doing, and then they're going to find that he has a fleet stuck in this force storm that he had always had out there, and that's the red. Those are the red stormtroopers that you see because they're the red stormtroopers are going to be in those fucking destroyers. And
It doesn't make sense in a way because don't they have the same getup as the First Order like the First Order
Yeah.
troopers?
They do.
it's a hybrid.
Yeah, but why would they take that hybrid and not go with the old school hybrid with
There's some-
red
some-
instead?
I mean, the Emperor's Royal Guards.
Yeah.
They wear their armor for a reason.
Right, but why do they have First Order stuff? Dave,
Right.
I was watching one of Bobby's Force Friday videos, and someone wrote into him and said, "What if the Sith troopers aren't people? They aren't like they're not from the Sith or bossed around by the Sith, but what if
They're
called
looking
Sith
for the
troopers
Sith. Yeah.
as they hunt Sith?"
They hunt Sith. Yeah. That might be
Wouldn't
Kylo Ren's Sith troopers, where he's having them basically hunt Sith because he wants to be the only Sith, and those red troopers are
Or not
basically
already
killing.
turned.
He wants to
See,
kill
I
the
don't
Sith.
I don't like the way that story goes. I kind of like the double agent theory where Kylo is good, and through all this he's just he's just playing the game in order to get to the Emperor.
It's
In order
taking
to
the
kill
path
him.
of
Yeah,
he's
you could be
taking the path
bad.
of a gray Jedi where you have to dabble in a bit of both sides to understand the full potential of it.
Wasn't
In yourself.
Darth Vader isn't that Darth Vader in a handful in a little
Yes.
short? That's Darth
In a
Vader
nutshell?
in a nutshell, right there. He went to the dark side, but at the end of the day, he still had good in him, and he knew, and he was overthrowing the Emperor. He was going to overthrow
Well, I
him.
think any of the most powerful Force users were ones that recognize that things at some point aren't black and white and as simplified as they like to verbalize them. So
Yeah.
you know,
But I think Kylo. I'm hoping. I don't know. I really do feel like he's going to come out and be the hero in this series. I hope so.
Now, is what he's done previously though? Can he be fully exonerated for killing?
Well,
Han
yeah.
Solo?
Look at Vader. He got exonerated when they fucking left his fucking Force ghost at the end of the movie, all happy and smiley after
But-
he killed all the fucking Jedi and all those kids.
Yeah,
and
but Vader didn't kill anyone we cared about.
Oh please,
Kylo Ren killed Han Solo.
dude! He killed his father, dude. But Vader killed kids.
I didn't know
All
those
of 'em.
kids.
I killed
he
all
killed
of them.
kids. He
They didn't even
killed.
have
I mean,
names.
the kids,
He killed
the pets. I killed them all.
So, Bots in Disguise says the Emperor is so strong with the dark side, he brought himself back to life to rule. This is not. So, have you ever heard the story of Plagueis Wise? Now, have you, if anybody knows who Plagueis is, which some of you will, he spent his life learning the ways of the Force to control life itself.
Yep.
He could make people be born. He could stop people from dying, and Sidious killed him
because
for this information, for these skills.
because he does say that his apprentice killed him, right?
Yes, he
Yeah.
was
Yes.
killed by his
You're
apprentice.
thinking that was his apprentice.
Yes, oh, Sidious was.
Sidious was his apprentice.
It's that's in canon. Like you
Yeah.
read that
Yeah.
somewhere.
Hmm.
I think that's
It's a book.
Oh, I never read that.
And the whole plan, his whole plan about taking the emperor, creating the empire, it was basically Plagueis' plan.
I mean, there's audiobooks. You could
Yeah.
listen to those on your way to work.
It was Plagueis' plan, and then
Well,
he just basically
read.
Why are you driving?
Yeah, but how wild does it have to get before it's like, oh, whatever, you know? Exactly. You know, with the I don't know. It's just things just get a little more and more obscure. It's like, oh, we can't figure our way out of this. Let's make the Force do this now. You know, it's like, oh, great.
So what kind of toys are we going to get out of this? Anything good, or is the same old people just in slightly different outfits again?
Same old people with different outfits.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
the B-wing. Might get a B-wing, Gary.
Let's
see
here.
You're gonna get all those new
B-wings were cool.
characters.
They had the cockpits that were stationary, and the ship rotated around them. It was really neat.
So
It's
I'll
like
tell you,
Oh, there you go. It's like the center
There you
cap
go.
on a Rolls Royce. It's
I'll
always
tell
down.
you, October 4th, we're gonna get a Ray with Do.
What's
Kylo
that?
Ren. I don't
Ray
know.
with Do.
All right, so
Maybe
another Ray
a droid, maybe. I don't know.
and another Kylo, right? Shocker
Oh,
there.
fucking BB-8
Kylo.
dies.
No, that was Poe's.
That's
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 Poe's
Poe's
droid.
droid. I gotcha.
We're getting the Sith Trooper. We're getting another First Order Stormtrooper.
Yay.
We're getting Cal Kestis from the Fallen Order game. We're getting Second Sister Inquisitor from Rebels, The Mandalorian, and a resculpted Jawa.
All right. Speaking of droids, there was mention in the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie or series that there will be a droid in it that we know. Just kind of curious what that might be.
It's Chopper.
Yeah? I don't know. I don't know. I actually thought IG-88 might make an appearance there, but I don't know. I come up blank when I really, really thought about it.
Yeah. It's probably the one that breaks down when
that
Luke
one.
and his
Yeah, maybe.
Was it R254 whatever?
R5D4?
Yeah, there you go. It's him.
You know he didn't break
Oh,
down, right,
look.
Tom?
It's got a
He did-
bad
he-
motivator.
He did that on purpose.
Did he do it on purpose?
He did it on
He's like,
purpose.
I don't want to work for these.
No,
fucks."
they did it on purpose so that R2 and C-3PO could stay together.
He's the hero.
Whole story would have been different.
Well, that was a good convo. I think we can
we're
wrap
done
on that
already?
one. Yeah, I mean, unless
Alright.
you want to keep going, Brian.
I
I
got
think,
nothing else.
Gary's doing the dad stretch.
Yeah.
Look. JD probably has to eat dinner. So I just want to remind everybody, if you haven't already, I'm not sure what the current number is, but I think it's around 20 or 20, maybe less rock boxes left. So
Mm.
get your pre-orders in. I don't know what's in this fucking box. Okay.
Two shirts. There's two shirts.
Yeah, two unique shirts for sure.
One
I'm
black,
in
one
the
not
industry
black.
for and do not know, and I'm excited to fucking know. So you guys should fucking order
It's a
these
double-
before they sell out.
Double-bladed lightsabers in the box.
Mhm. Dude, Swiss Army knife. Take that on a plane. So, and also important to note, it's not that pre-orders are open all the way until September 2nd. They are only
It's
open
100.
until they're sold out, and there's
Correct.
only 100. And like Dave said, could be less than 20 left. So, dude, you don't
Get
want to be at TFCon without your shirt. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, don't be that guy.
And Dave,
Don't be
also,
Don't be,
Sure.
don't
are
be
we
that guy
also
coming to the party without a shirt.
we're at the 60-day mark for the TFCon, right? For the International Realm of Collectors meetup there in Virginia, and we've got the toy drive going again. Correct?
Yes, we
Yep.
do.
Indeed.
Yep, which is pretty cool. I know Jason Lowry put that together.
Talking about toys, this show was brought to you by Crashbox Customs. Visit Crashbox for your diorama and Mezco needs. He's a nice guy sometimes, so hit him
Yeah.
up.
Mention Realm when ordering for a free gift.
Oh, I forgot about that. See, Brian,
That's true.
we're a team.
See, because Dave doesn't get the free gifts.
Oh,
He
actually, I
forgot.
have. I've gotten a few. Chris is really fucking doing his thing, man. I got a nice comic book with my order the other day. I was like, whoa, this is pretty fucking cool. And don't forget to watch the other shows that we have on our channel.
Dude,
Gus does such a fucking good job with that
He
shit.
really does, dude.
Yeah, he does.
Really
Yeah,
awesome.
that-
now I'm ready to talk for another half hour.
dude, just watching that video, I want to subscribe. Jesus.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
real.
Hit that thumbs up.
With that said, me and the guys have been talking quite a bit about, being only 5 for now until Jose comes back. You guys have a topic you want to be on the show? hit one of us up, hit us all up, do something, say something. We'll go from there. So if you have anything that maybe comes to mind that you want to ask us, you could also do that. If you don't want to partake on the show, you want to just ask a question, maybe even submit a video. Let us know. Hit me up, hit one of the guys up, if whoever you feel more comfortable with, except for Dom. Nobody feels comfortable hitting up Dom.
No.
So
Dom will
please do.
respond to you.
Not approachable.
And
Very intimidating.
yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit. With that said, guys, let them know where you're at. We'll start with JD.
You can. Well, before I do that, I just want to make a couple little shout outs here. Thank you to Eric von Wolfenstein and Pistol for coming out this weekend. Thank you to Jason and Bethany for coming out this weekend. Thank you to Brink and Gort for coming out this weekend. And our new friends, Eric and Donna, thank you for coming out. It was a lot of fucking fun. Yeah, this weekend. Yeah, we had a blast. It was a lot of fun. Lots of nerdy times. Talking Star Wars and Transformers and podcasts and cosplay and all kinds of stuff. It was good stuff.
Very, very fun.
Yes. But you can find me on Pigment Surgery on Instagram and Xbox Live. Find me here every Tuesday. I believe we have a new show tomorrow. Fingerbagging. So
Indeed.
yes.
Cool, yo. Dom, let me know.
You can find me on Tuesday nights here with these guys and on the Facebook groups as Dominic Grasso.
Cool. G Money.
Easy enough. Also on the Facebook groups, Gary Allen. You'll find me there.
Oh, dude, I want to do some shout outs. I want to thank God for being with me
Fuck
this
you,
weekend.
unibrow.
I want to thank I want to thank the ice cream man. He came around my block. I got that nice soft serve on Saturday. It was great.
This fucking guy.
Love you, JD.
Don't be jealous because you weren't invited.
How about you, Brian? Oh, jeez.
You can find me, Brian Brink, the Facebook groups, at Brinklers on Instagram, and perhaps one more night tomorrow on this channel. Enjoy your long weekend coming up, people. For those of you who get long weekends.
Long weekends.
And I'm going to try and attend Toy Galaxy's meetup on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. That's on Sunday.
Yeah. So if you're in the New Hampshire area up there, I will be late, but I will try and make it.
Nice.
Are you going to visit family this weekend? Oh,
Yep. I'll be heading up to Maine.
Cool.
My nephew turns 1.
Oh, congratulations.
What's the mileage on your car?
So
Brian,
that's
I'm
up
just
there.
Curious. It's up there, right? Shit.
498,000 miles.
Nah.
No.
It's like 12 parsecs.
So yeah, it's on borrowed time.
We might try and make that too. I got to see how far off the path it is from Rhode Island. So.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Good times.
Cool. And I'm Energon Addict, the fill-in Puerto Rican for the Hangout, or should I say Breaking the Mold. Thank you for watching. I'll be here next week. And you can find us all on Facebook. If you don't know where to find me by now, then there's no reason in looking. And with that, thanks for watching. See you next week.
Say it with me now.
Round